The oncologist looked uncomfortable when my daughter-in-law said they couldn't afford my cancer treatment. I'm Eddie Davis, and for 18 months, my family believed I was dying broke. What they didn't know was that I'd sold my biotech company for $50 million just before my diagnosis. I'd been secretly paying their mortgage, their kids' college funds, even their grocery bills while they debated putting me in the cheapest nursing home they could find. When Donna told the doctor to stop my treatment because of money, she had no idea she was talking to one of the wealthiest men in Denver. And what I did next exposed exactly who she really was. I didn't say a word that day. I just smiled and scheduled my next appointment. If you're watching this, please subscribe and let me know where you are watching from. This is the story of how I used fake poverty to expose my family's true character and learned the difference between being loved and being tolerated. The plan started 18 months earlier, on March 15, 2022, when I signed the papers selling biomed solutions to Meridian Pharmaceuticals for exactly $50 million. 1 week later, the doctors found the tumor in my left lung. The timing was perfect for what I had in mind. You see, I'd watched my wife Shani die 3 years earlier, and I'd seen how my family reacted to medical expenses. Donna had complained constantly about the cost of Shani's experimental treatments. Throwing good money after bad, she'd called it. I wanted to know if she'd show the same callousness toward me. So I hired Wilson, Patterson, and Associates to create a financial maze that even Donna, with her obsessive bill monitoring skills, couldn't trace. They set up 7 different LLCs, transferred my assets into anonymous trust funds, and created a paper trail showing that Biomed's sale had fallen through due to regulatory complications. Within a month, I'd transformed from millionaire to pensioner. I moved out of my $2.3 million house in Cherry Hills Village and into an $850 a month studio apartment in Lakewood. I traded my BMW for a 2019 Honda Civic with 89,000 miles and a dent in the passenger door. I shopped at Goodwill and clipped coupons with theatrical precision. But the real performance happened during family dinners. "Dad, you really need to be more realistic about your medical situation," Donna said during my second round of chemotherapy. We were sitting around their dining room table, the one I'd secretly bought them for Christmas 2 years earlier. "I'm managing the best I can," I replied, picking at the casserole I'd supposedly couldn't afford to contribute to. "Managing?" Donna's laugh was sharp. "Dad, you're hemorrhaging money you don't have. The chemotherapy alone is $12,400 per cycle." James shifted uncomfortably. "Donna, maybe—" "No, James. Someone needs to face reality here." Donna turned her calculator toward me like a weapon. 6 cycles of chemo, $74,000. Plus the oncologist visits, the imaging, the blood work. We're looking at over $100,000 for treatment that might not even work. Might not even work. She'd reduced my fight for life to a bad investment. What Donna didn't know was that I'd been anonymously funding their entire lifestyle while she calculated the cost of my survival. Their mortgage? I'd been paying it through a shell company called Rocky Mountain Holdings, LLC. Their kids' private school tuition? Another anonymous donation? Their Range Rover lease, their family vacation to Disney World, even their weekly grocery deliveries, all secretly funded by the broke man they were worried about supporting. "Have you looked into Medicaid?" Donna asked. "Your father-in-law's assets would need to be—" James started. "What assets?" Donna interrupted. "He's living in a studio apartment and driving a car older than our marriage." The irony was perfect. Donna was so focused on managing my poverty that she completely missed the signs of my wealth. She walked past the donor plaque in the hospital lobby, Davis ED, $500, 000 plus, dozens of times without noticing. She never questioned why the parking attendant waved me through the VIP entrance, or why Dr. Moore always had extended appointment slots available for me. Donna was too busy counting pennies to see the dollars. "Dad, we've been thinking," James said carefully. "Maybe you should consider alternative treatment options. Alternative treatment options. Code for cheaper ways to die." "Like what?" I asked. "Clinical trials," Donna said quickly. "Some of them are free. And there are state programs for low-income seniors." Low-income seniors. My daughter-in-law wanted me to beg for charity care while sitting on $50 million. But I still didn't reveal the truth. The test wasn't complete yet. I needed to see exactly how far they'd go when they thought love was the only thing I had left to offer. By month 8, I understood exactly what I stood to lose if I stayed silent. It wasn't money. I had more than I could spend in 3 lifetimes hidden in accounts Donna would never find. What I was losing was something far more valuable, my dignity, my autonomy, and my grandchildren's respect. Donna had started including my 25-year-old grandson Jake in her financial reality conversations, Jake was James's son from his first marriage, a recent college graduate struggling with student loans and entry-level wages. He'd always been close to me, but I watched Donna slowly poison that relationship with financial anxiety. "Jake, you need to talk to your grandfather," Donna said during a family barbecue I'd supposedly couldn't afford to contribute food to. "He's not accepting reality about his situation." "What situation?" Jake asked. "The medical bills are crushing him," Donna explained, her voice carrying that practiced tone of concerned authority. "He can't afford the treatments, but he won't admit it. Someone needs to help him understand that fighting this cancer is selfish." Selfish? Donna had just told my grandson that my desire to live was selfish. "Grandpa seems pretty sharp to me," Jake said defensively. "Sharp people can still make emotional decisions," Donna replied. "The chemo isn't working anyway. His tumor markers barely improved last month." That was a lie. My tumor markers had dropped 22%, but Donna was selectively editing my medical results to support her narrative. "Maybe Grandpa should decide for himself," Jake suggested. "Jake, your grandfather is 76 years old with advanced cancer. Sometimes family has to step in and make the hard choices." The hard choices. Donna was preparing Jake to support putting me in a nursing home against my will. What she didn't know was that I'd been secretly paying Jake's student loans for 6 months. Every month, an anonymous payment of $847 appeared in his loan account, reducing his debt without explanation. Jake had mentioned it to the family, wondering if there was some kind of clerical error. "Student loan companies don't just forgive debt," Donna had said. "Someone's paying it. Maybe a scholarship fund or something." Jake had tried to track down the payments, but the trail led to a dead end at a company called Alpine Education Services, another one of my carefully constructed shell companies. Meanwhile, the nursing home brochures multiplied. Donna had researched facilities across 3 counties, creating a spreadsheet comparing costs, Medicaid acceptance rates, and proximity to their house. She'd color-coded everything. Green for affordable, yellow for manageable, red for too expensive. Sunrise Manor, 40 minutes outside Denver, was highlighted in bright green. "The shared rooms are only $4,500 a month," Donna announced, spreading the brochures across my kitchen table. "And once you qualify for Medicaid, it drops to $800. Shared rooms. Donna wanted to stick me in a room with a stranger because it was cheaper than dying with dignity. "What about staying in my apartment?" I asked. "Dad, you can't afford your apartment and cancer treatment," Donna explained with exaggerated patience. "Something has to give." "Maybe the treatment should give," I said quietly. Donna's eyes lit up. "Exactly. That's what I've been trying to tell you. Palliative care focuses on comfort instead of futile, expensive treatments." Futile, expensive treatments. She'd just called my fight for life futile. But the real test came when Jake found out about the inheritance. "Grandpa," he said during one of our weekly coffee meetings at the diner near my apartment, Donna mentioned that you might not have anything to leave us when you know. "When I die?" Jake nodded, looking embarrassed. "She said the medical bills might eat up everything. Is that true?" I looked at my grandson, this young man I'd taught to fish, who I'd taken to Rockies games, who I'd helped with homework every Sunday for 12 years, and realized Donna had turned even this relationship into a financial calculation. "Would it matter?" I asked. "What do you mean? If I had nothing to leave you, would you still want to spend time with me?" Jake looked genuinely confused. "Of course, you're my grandfather." "But Donna thinks the medical expenses are selfish, that I should choose dying over fighting. That's not what she meant." "That's exactly what she meant," I interrupted gently. "Jake, your step-grandmother sees me as a financial liability. The question is, do you—" Jake was quiet for a long moment. "Grandpa, I don't care if you're broke. I just want you to get better." That was the moment I realized the test had revealed everything I needed to know. Jake loved me unconditionally. James was conflicted, but ultimately weak, and Donna had reduced our entire family dynamic to a spreadsheet. If I stayed silent much longer, I wouldn't just lose my dignity, I'd lose any chance of teaching my family what real character looked like. The nursing home applications were already filled out. Donna had scheduled a placement interview for the following week. It was time to flip the script. The first major confrontation happened on a Tuesday morning when Donna cornered me in the hospital parking garage after my blood work appointment. She'd driven me again, claiming it was safer than letting me drive myself. What she really wanted was a captive audience for the conversation she'd been planning. "Dad, we need to talk." Donna clicked the car locks, her signature power move when she wanted to control a conversation. "I'm listening." "No, you're not. You're not listening to any of us." Her voice had that sharp edge that made waiters nervous. "Dr. Moore wants to add another drug to your chemotherapy cocktail." She thinks it might improve the response rate. Dad, the new drug costs $8,000 per dose every 2 weeks for at least 6 months. I let the silence hang between us. Donna loved filling uncomfortable pauses with financial calculations. That's $96,000, she continued, consulting her phone calculator, on top of the money you're already hemorrhaging. I might be able to get assistance. You've been denied assistance twice, Donna cut me off. We've been through this. You make too much on Social Security to qualify for charity care, but not enough to actually pay these bills. This was the moment I'd been waiting for. Donna had done her homework, but she'd been researching the wrong bank accounts. So, what are you suggesting? I asked. Donna's pause lasted exactly 4 seconds. I counted. I think it's time to be realistic about quality of life versus quantity, she said carefully. Quality versus quantity. Donna had rehearsed this speech. You want me to stop treatment. I want you to stop bankrupting your family for treatments that aren't working. Donna's mask slipped slightly. Dad, your tumor shrunk 18%. Do you know what 18% costs? $64,000. Her math was wrong. The actual cost was higher, but her message was clear. She'd calculated the dollar value of extending my life. What does James think? I asked. James thinks you should do whatever makes you happy, Donna said, starting the engine. But James isn't watching our retirement disappear into medical bills. James isn't explaining to Emma and Tyler why they might have to change schools. Our retirement. Our kids. Donna had already erased me from the family financial equation. The kids might have to change schools? Dad, we've been supplementing your medical expenses for months, Donna lied smoothly. Our savings are almost gone. The performance was flawless. Donna had convinced herself that supporting my cancer treatment was bankrupting them, while I'd been anonymously paying their bills the entire time. I didn't know you were helping financially, I said. Of course we're helping. Your family. Donna's tone suggested this was a massive sacrifice, but we can't keep it up indefinitely. How much have you contributed? I asked quietly. Donna paused, doing quick mental math. Between the medical copays, your grocery money, and helping with your rent? Probably $15,000. $15,000. She was claiming credit for expenses I'd been covering myself while simultaneously paying their mortgage. That's very generous, I said. It's not about generosity, Dad. It's about family responsibility. Donna pulled into my apartment complex with unnecessary force. But there has to be a limit. What kind of limit? We can't afford to support cancer treatments that might buy you a few extra months at the cost of Emma and Tyler's future. There it was. Donna had just pitted my grandchildren's future against my survival. I understand, I said quietly. Do you? Because yesterday you mentioned that experimental trial at University Hospital, the one that cost $30,000 just for the screening. I had mentioned it. Dr. Moore had suggested it as a backup option, and Donna had immediately Googled the costs. That was just conversation, I said. Dad, we need to stop having conversations about treatments you can't afford, Donna said firmly. It's not fair to Dr. Moore, and it's not fair to us. Us. Donna had made herself the gatekeeper of my medical decisions. I made a phone call this morning, I said casually. Donna's head snapped toward me. What kind of phone call? To someone who might be able to help with the financial situation. What friend? Her voice sharpened with suspicion. Dad, you can't keep borrowing money from people. That's not sustainable. It's not borrowing, I said. It's more of a business arrangement. I could see Donna's mind working, trying to figure out what kind of business arrangement a broke cancer patient could possibly make. Dad, if someone's offering to pay your medical bills, there has to be a catch. Nobody gives away money for cancer treatment. Unless they understand what it's like, I said mysteriously. Donna was quiet for the rest of the drive to my building. I could practically hear her calculating, wondering who might be foolish enough to throw money at a dying old man's medical bills. When we reached my apartment, she didn't turn off the engine. Dad, I need you to understand something. Her tone had shifted to something almost gentle. We love you. But love doesn't pay for $96,000 drug treatments. Love doesn't pay for treatments. Donna had just reduced our entire relationship to a financial transaction. I understand, I said, getting out of the car. Good. And Dad? Whatever friend you called? Unless they're planning to write a check for $200,000, they're not going to solve this problem. $200,000. Donna had calculated exactly how much my life was worth to her. I watched her drive away without waiting to see if I made it safely to my door. She had more important things to worry about, like protecting her children's inheritance from a selfish grandfather who refused to die quietly. But Donna had made one critical miscalculation. That friend I'd called wasn't going to write a check for $200,000. He was going to help me reveal where $50 million had been hiding all along. The signs were everywhere, but Donna was too obsessed with penny pinching to notice the dollars hiding in plain sight. It started with the hospital's VIP treatment that she dismissed as nice customer service. The parking attendant who waved me through the premium section without checking my ticket. The way Dr. Moore always had time for extended consultations, even when the waiting room was packed. The way nurses called me Mr. Davis with the same respect they reserved for the hospital board members. "Your grandfather gets the royal treatment here," Donna mentioned to Jake after my 14th cycle. "It's weird how much attention they give him." "Maybe they just like him," Jake suggested. "Hospitals don't give special treatment because they like someone," Donna replied. "They give special treatment because they're getting paid." She was half right. They were getting paid, just not the way she imagined. But Donna was too focused on the wrong financial details. She counted every copay, monitored every prescription cost, and tracked every appointment fee with spreadsheet precision. Meanwhile, she walked past the bronze donor plaque in the main lobby dozens of times without reading it. Major donors to the Presbyterian St. Joseph Cancer Center, Davis, Ed, $500, 000 plus. The plaque was mounted next to the elevators where thousands of people passed daily. Donna had stood next to it during countless visits, checking her phone, complaining about parking fees, calculating the cost of my latest blood work. She never looked up. "Dad, your mail situation is getting ridiculous," Donna announced during my 15th month of treatment. She handed me 3 envelopes that had been delivered to James and Donna's house. "You really need to update your address with everyone." I looked at the return addresses. Goldman Sachs, Private Wealth Management, Vanguard Investment Services, Wells Fargo Private Banking. "Probably junk mail," I said, shoving the letters into my jacket pocket. "That's some high-end junk mail," Jake observed. "Goldman Sachs doesn't usually send flyers to random people." "Identity theft targets seniors," Donna explained dismissively. "They send official-looking mail to confuse elderly people into giving out personal information." Identity theft. If only Donna knew that the real theft was her systematic attempt to steal my autonomy. The closest she came to discovering the truth was during my 16th month, when a medical bill got cross-wired with my real financial information. "Dad, something weird happened with your insurance," Donna said, waving a paper. "Presbyterian St. Joseph sent a bill to some company called Alpine Holdings for your last chemotherapy session." My heart stopped. Alpine Holdings was one of my shell companies. "Must be a billing error," I said carefully. "A $47,000 billing error," Donna said. "I called the hospital and they said Alpine Holdings has been paying all your bills for months." "That's impossible." "That's what I thought. But when I asked for details, they said I'd need written authorization from you to access the account information." Donna had actually tried to investigate my secret payments. Her financial curiosity had almost blown my cover. "Did you give them authorization?" I asked. "I told them I'd discuss it with you first," Donna said. "Dad, if some company has been paying your medical bills, we need to find out why. This could be some kind of medical debt scam." "I'll look into it," I promised. That evening, I called my attorney Richard Wilson to tighten the security around my financial arrangements. But the close call had revealed something important. Donna's investigative skills were getting sharper. She was starting to ask the right questions. The problem was, she was asking them about the wrong person. Jake, meanwhile, had been dealing with his own financial mystery. "Grandpa, something amazing happened," he told me during our weekly coffee meeting. "Someone's been paying my student loans. Like, all of them." "Really?" "Every month for 8 months, $847 exactly. The loan company says it's coming from something called Alpine Education Services, but when I tried to contact them, the number was disconnected. $847. I'd chosen that amount deliberately. It was exactly what Jake needed to stay current on his payments without paying them off completely. "Maybe it's some kind of scholarship program," I suggested. "That's what I thought, but scholarships don't usually pay existing loans, they pay tuition." Jake looked genuinely puzzled. "Grandpa, you don't know anything about this, do you?" "Why would I know anything about it?" "Because you always said education was the best investment, and because—" Jake paused, looking embarrassed. "Because Donna keeps saying you don't have any money, but weird financial stuff keeps happening around our family." Weird financial stuff. My grandson was starting to connect dots that Donna refused to see. "What kind of weird stuff?" I asked. "Well, there's my loan payments. And Dad mentioned that their mortgage payment got mysteriously reduced 6 months ago, and Emma's piano teacher said someone anonymous prepaid her lessons for the whole year. Jake was accidentally mapping my entire support network." "Have you mentioned this to Donna?" I asked. I tried, but she said it was probably just clerical errors. She's been really stressed about money lately. Stressed about money while living in a house I was paying for, driving a car I was funding, and sending her kids to schools I was supporting. The test was working perfectly. Donna saw only the expenses while missing all the income. But Jake was getting curious, and curiosity was dangerous to my carefully constructed performance. It was time to accelerate the timeline. The humiliation happened in front of 17 people during what was supposed to be a routine care planning meeting. Dr. Moore had called it to discuss long-term treatment strategies, but Donna had turned it into something else entirely. She'd invited James's sister Rachel from Colorado Springs, her own sister Michelle, who understood healthcare finances, and had somehow convinced the hospital to combine our session with other families dealing with similar issues. The Presbyterian St. Joseph conference room was packed, 12 strangers dealing with their own cancer journeys, plus my family, plus hospital staff. Donna had created an audience for what she clearly planned as my surrender. "Let's begin with the Davis family," announced Shani Torres, the financial counselor. She opened my thick file with practiced efficiency. "Edward, your treatment costs over the past 16 months total $143,000, a collective intake of breath from the room. To strangers, it sounded impossible. To Donna, it sounded like vindication. Insurance covered $78,000, Shani continued. Patient responsibility is currently $65,000, which he obviously cannot pay. Donna interjected before I could speak. The room fell silent. Shani looked confused. "I'm sorry? My father-in-law is living on Social Security," Donna announced to the entire room. "He's been struggling financially since his wife's medical expenses 3 years ago. These cancer costs are beyond his means." 17 pairs of eyes turned to look at me with pity. The broke old man too proud to admit he couldn't afford to live. Dr. Moore cleared her throat. "Mrs. Davis, I think there might be some—" "There's no confusion about his financial situation," Donna interrupted. "We've been very transparent about that. He's living in a studio apartment, barely affording groceries. These treatment costs are unrealistic." James shifted uncomfortably beside her. "Donna, maybe we shouldn't discuss this so publicly." "Why not? This is exactly what these meetings are for." Donna stood up, addressing the room like a presenter. "My father-in-law wants to continue aggressive treatment, but the financial reality makes that impossible." One of the strangers, an elderly woman with her own cancer patient, nodded sympathetically. "It's so difficult when they can't accept their limitations. Accept limitations. They were discussing me like I was senile. The new immunotherapy protocol costs $12,000 every 2 weeks. Donna continued her presentation. "That's over $300,000 annually for treatment that might extend his life by a few months. Might extend life by a few months." Donna was publicly arguing that my survival wasn't worth the investment. "What about quality of life considerations?" asked Michelle, Donna's sister. "Exactly," Donna said. "We're advocating for comfort care, palliative treatment that focuses on dignity rather than desperate measures." Desperate measures. My fight for life had become desperate measures. "I'd like to continue treatment," I said quietly. "With what resources, Dad?" Donna's voice carried that patient tone reserved for confused children. "You're already behind on medical bills. You can't afford your medications. You're asking your family to bankrupt themselves for treatments that aren't working." The medication comment hit home. Several people winced at the image of a cancer patient rationing pills. "Maybe there are assistance programs," suggested one of the strangers. "We've exhausted every program," Donna replied smoothly. "He makes too much on Social Security for charity care, but not enough to pay oncology bills. The catch-22 of being poor but not poor enough." Donna's research had been thorough. "The hospital has been very understanding about payment plans," Shani Torres offered diplomatically. "Payment plans don't solve the fundamental problem," Donna shot back. "Dr. Moore, you're recommending treatments that cost more than most people's annual salaries. Where do you expect that money to come from?" Dr. Moore glanced at me with a strange expression. "Perhaps we should discuss this privately." "No," Donna said firmly. "Everyone here is dealing with the same issues. The cost of cancer treatment versus family financial stability." She turned to address the room again. "How many of you have had to choose between medical treatment and your children's future?" Several hands went up. Donna had found her audience. "How many have had to refinance homes, liquidate retirement accounts, or take second mortgages to pay for cancer treatment?" More hands. Donna was building a coalition of financial martyrs. "We can't let sentiment override financial responsibility," she announced. "Sometimes the most loving thing is accepting that aggressive treatment is no longer viable." Accepting that aggressive treatment is no longer viable. Donna had just advocated for my death in front of 17 witnesses. "What would you like us to do?" Dr. Moore asked me directly. Before I could answer, Donna jumped in. We'd like to transition to hospice care, focus on comfort and dignity rather than expensive treatments that aren't extending quality time. Quality time. She'd reduced my remaining life to a cost-benefit analysis. The treatment has actually shown significant tumor reduction, Dr. Moore said carefully. Significant reduction doesn't matter if the patient can't afford it, Donna replied. Dr. Moore, with respect, you're not facing our family's financial reality. Our family's financial reality. Donna had appointed herself spokesperson for my medical future. That's when Jake spoke up for the first time. Mom, Donna, maybe Grandpa should decide for himself what he can afford. Jake, your grandfather isn't thinking clearly about money, Donna replied. Cancer patients often make unrealistic decisions that burden their families. But what if money wasn't the issue? Jake asked. The room went quiet. Donna's head snapped toward Jake with laser focus. Money is always the issue, she said sharply. Your grandfather is broke, Jake. He lost everything when your step-grandmother died. But what if he didn't? Jake pressed. What if there were resources we didn't know about? I could see Donna's mind racing, trying to figure out what Jake might know. There are no hidden resources, she said firmly. I've reviewed his entire financial situation. Have you? Jake asked quietly. The challenge hung in the air like smoke. Donna stared at her stepson with growing suspicion. Jake, what are you trying to say? James asked. I'm saying maybe we don't know everything about Grandpa's situation, Jake replied. Maybe some of us have been making assumptions. Donna's face went pale. What assumptions? Jake looked directly at me. Grandpa, do you want to tell them, or should I? The room was dead silent. 17 people watching family drama unfold in real time. I smiled for the first time in months. Actually, Jake, I think we should wait for tomorrow's meeting. What meeting? Donna demanded. The one where my attorney explains exactly how wrong your assumptions have been. Donna's confident facade cracked like ice in spring. What attorney? Richard Wilson from Wilson Patterson and Associates, I said calmly. He's bringing some documents that I think you'll find illuminating. The power in the room shifted like a tectonic plate. Donna was no longer the financial authority. She was a woman who just publicly advocated for euthanizing a millionaire. What documents? She whispered. I stood up slowly, feeling stronger than I had in 16 months. The ones that prove everything you think you know about my financial situation is completely wrong. Richard Wilson arrived at exactly 10 a.m. carrying a briefcase that cost more than most people's cars. He commanded the room before he even spoke. Armani suit, Italian leather shoes, and the kind of presence that made hospital administrators stand straighter. This was a man who represented serious money, and everyone could sense it. Good morning, Eddie, Richard said, setting his briefcase on the conference table with theatrical precision. I brought those documents we discussed. The same conference room was packed again. Donna, James, Jake, Rachel, and Shani Torres from the hospital's financial department. But today felt different. Donna looked like a defendant waiting for sentencing. Mr. Wilson, Donna said, her voice strained. I think there's been some misunderstanding about my father-in-law's financial situation. Has there? Richard's smile was razor sharp. Well, let's clear that up immediately. He opened his briefcase and pulled out a manila folder thick enough to choke a horse. Donna, you've been operating under the assumption that Eddie lost his wealth when his wife died. Is that correct? He told us the medical bills bankrupted him, Donna said defensively. Interesting. Richard spread 3 bank statements across the table like winning poker cards, because these Wells Fargo private wealth management statements tell a very different story. Donna leaned forward and her jaw literally dropped. Current liquid assets, Richard read aloud, $49,700,000 as of yesterday's market close. The silence was so complete you could hear the ventilation system. That's impossible, Donna whispered. I assure you it's quite real, Richard replied. But let's dig deeper into the impossibilities, shall we? He pulled out another document. Biomed Solutions Acquisition Agreement, signed March 15, 2022. Sale price, $50 million to Meridian Pharmaceuticals. James stared at the SEC filing like it was written in hieroglyphics. Dad, you sold the company? I did. But you said it failed. You said the medical bills destroyed your business. I said what I needed to say for the test to work, I replied calmly. Richard wasn't finished. Which brings us to the really interesting discoveries. He reached into his briefcase and pulled out a stack of financial records that made Donna's face go white. Eddie, would you like to explain these transactions, or shall I do the honors? I looked at my family, my son who'd been weak, my daughter-in-law who'd been cruel, and my grandson who'd been curious enough to see through the lies. Go ahead, Richard. Anonymous payments to First National Bank, Richard announced, reading from the top document. James and Donna Davis mortgage account, 18 monthly payments of $3,412. James looked like he'd been struck by lightning. Dad, you've been paying our mortgage? Anonymous payments to Colorado Academy, Richard continued. Emma and Tyler Davis tuition accounts. Total $31,000. The kids' school too? Donna's voice was barely audible. Anonymous payments to Toyota Financial Services. 2019 Range Rover lease registered to Donna Johnson Davis. Donna was staring at the documents like they were evidence of alien visitation. You paid for my car? Anonymous payments to King Soopers grocery delivery service. Weekly orders for the Davis family household. Total $4,800. Even our groceries, James whispered. Richard was enjoying himself now. Anonymous payments to Jake Davis student loan account through Alpine Education Services. Monthly payments of $847. Jake's head snapped up. That was you, Grandpa? You've been paying my loans? Anonymous payments to Emma's piano teacher, Tyler's baseball league, and... Richard paused for dramatic effect. A certain Disney World vacation last summer. The room was so quiet I could hear Donna's rapid breathing. You paid for everything, she said, her voice hollow. Not everything, I corrected. I also established college funds for Emma and Tyler. Current balances, $45,000 each. But I wasn't done yet. I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper I'd been carrying for 2 weeks. Donna, I said, standing up slowly, you've spent 16 months calculating exactly how much my life costs. You've researched nursing homes, advocated for cheaper treatments, and publicly argued that my medical expenses were bankrupting the family. I unfolded the paper and placed it in front of her. This is a blank check, I said, from my personal account at Wells Fargo Private Banking, the account that currently contains $49,700,000. Donna stared at the check like it might bite her. I want you to fill in whatever amount you think would have made my cancer treatment acceptable to you, I continued. How much money would it have taken for you to treat me like a human being instead of a financial burden? The check lay on the table like an accusation. Fill it out, Donna. 1 million, 5 million, 10 million. What's the price of treating your dying father-in-law with dignity? Donna's hands were shaking. I don't... You don't what? You spent yesterday telling 17 strangers that my life wasn't worth the cost of treatment. Today you discover I could have bought the entire hospital. So what's your price? Dr. Moore cleared her throat. Eddie, perhaps we should discuss your treatment options now that the financial concerns have been clarified. Excellent idea, I said. Dr. Moore, I'd like to pursue every available treatment option. The immunotherapy, the clinical trial at MD Anderson, whatever experimental protocols you think might help. Money is no object. Money is no object. The phrase Donna thought she'd never hear from me. I'd also like to make a donation to the hospital, I continued, watching Donna's face. Let's say $2 million to expand the cancer center. In memory of my wife Shani, and in honor of all the families who actually can't afford treatment. Shani Torres nearly dropped her pen. Mr. Davis, that's incredibly generous. Unlike some people, I said, looking directly at Donna, I believe cancer treatment should be about saving lives, not counting costs. Richard closed his briefcase with a satisfied click. Eddie also asked me to prepare some additional documents. Donna James, you have 30 days to assume full responsibility for your mortgage, car payments, and household expenses. What? Donna's head snapped up. You can't just cut us off. I'm not cutting you off, I replied. I'm treating you exactly the way you treated me. You wanted financial independence from a burden? Congratulations. You've got it. Dad, please, James pleaded. What about Emma and Tyler? Emma and Tyler will be fine. Their college funds are secure and they'll continue receiving my support. But their parents? I shook my head. Their parents need to learn the difference between love and convenience. Jake spoke up. Grandpa, what about my student loans? Your loans will continue being paid, I said. You're the only one in this family who asked if I was okay instead of asking what I cost. Donna was crying now, but they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of panic and humiliation. How long have you been recording this? Jake asked suddenly. Everyone turned to look at him. Recording what? Donna asked. Jake pointed to his phone, which had been sitting on the table the entire time. Grandpa, you asked me to make sure my phone was recording when the lawyer got here. This whole conversation is on video. Donna's face went completely white. You recorded this? Jake's been documenting our family meetings for weeks, I explained, including yesterday's performance where you advocated for my death in front of 17 witnesses. I never said you should die. You said aggressive treatment was no longer viable. You said comfort care was more appropriate than fighting. You calculated the cost of my survival and declared it too expensive. I paused. That's all on video, Donna. along with today's revelation that you were spending a millionaire's money while arguing that he was too poor to live. Richard smiled. As Eddie's attorney, I should mention that this recording will likely become evidence in the civil suit. What civil suit? James asked. Elder financial abuse, Richard explained. Attempting to gain control of an elderly person's medical decisions through financial manipulation. It's a felony in Colorado. Donna looked like she was going to be sick. I thought he was broke. I was trying to help. You were trying to control, I corrected. And now the entire world is going to see exactly what kind of help you provided. The entire world? Jake held up his phone. Grandpa, should I post this to TikTok now, or wait until after the lawyer finishes? Wait, I said. Let's make sure we have the complete story. I turned to Dr. Moore. Doctor, for the record, could you explain my current medical status? Certainly. Mr. Davis has responded exceptionally well to immunotherapy. His tumors have shrunk by 38%. With continued treatment, his prognosis is excellent. Excellent, I repeated, looking at Donna. Not terminal, not hopeless. Excellent. Donna buried her face in her hands. So to summarize, I said, addressing the room but really speaking to the camera, while my daughter-in-law spent 16 months arguing that I was too poor and too sick to deserve treatment, I was actually a healthy millionaire secretly funding her entire lifestyle. The irony was perfect, and everyone could see it. Richard packed up his documents. Eddie, I'll have the financial arrangements modified by Friday. Donna, James, you'll receive formal notification when the automatic payments cease. One more thing, I said as Richard reached the door. Jake, when you post that video, make sure you include this part. Some people count money, others count what matters. My family failed at both. Jake grinned. Should I tag them in it? Tag everyone, I said. Let the world see what happens when greed masquerades as concern. As the room emptied, Donna sat alone at the table, staring at the blank check I'd left in front of her. She never did fill in an amount, because we both knew there wasn't enough money in the world to buy back what she'd lost. Her family's respect, her community's reputation, and any chance of claiming she'd acted out of love. The test was complete. The results were devastating. And thanks to Jake's recording, the whole world was about to see exactly who my family really was. The video went viral in 18 hours. Jake posted it to TikTok with the caption, POV, your step-grandmother tries to euthanize a millionaire to save money. Within 6 hours, it had 500,000 views. By morning, it was approaching 2 million. The comments were brutal. This woman really tried to kill off her rich father-in-law. The audacity of complaining about money while spending his money. Best plot twist of 2024, Grandpa is a legend. Someone needs to check on Donna because she just got exposed. But the real impact wasn't online. It was in my family's actual life. By Friday morning, every automatic payment I'd been making for 18 months had stopped. James and Donna's mortgage payment bounced. Their car lease was declined. Colorado Academy called about overdue tuition for Emma and Tyler. For the first time in years, my family was facing their real financial situation. Dad, we need to talk, James called me that evening. His voice sounded hollow. I'm listening. The mortgage company wants the full payment by Monday, or they're starting foreclosure proceedings. That sounds stressful. Dad, please. We can't afford the house without help. We can't afford Donna's car. We can't afford the kids' school. Most families can't afford those things, I pointed out. That's why they make different choices. What kind of choices? Smaller house, used car, public school. I paused. The choices you would have made if you'd never expected to inherit my money. Is that what this is about? The inheritance? No, son, this is about respect. For 18 months, you watched your wife calculate the cost of keeping me alive while I was secretly funding your entire lifestyle. You never once defended me. I thought you were broke. You thought I was worthless, I corrected. And you were comfortable with that as long as it didn't cost you anything. Meanwhile, Donna was discovering what financial stress actually felt like. She'd found a job, not by choice but by desperate necessity. Medical billing coordinator at Denver Children's Hospital. $42,000 a year, which was exactly $42,000 more than she'd been contributing to the family finances while living off my hidden support. The irony was perfect. Donna was now the person explaining payment plans to worried families, delivering bad news about insurance denials, and watching parents calculate whether they could afford their children's medical care. My first day was horrible, Emma told me during our weekly dinner. Mom came home crying because she had to tell a family their little boy's surgery wasn't covered. How did that make your mom feel? I asked. She said it made her think about how she talked to you when you were sick. Progress. But the real consequences were social. Denver's medical and business communities are smaller than people think. Word travels fast when a biotech millionaire uses fake poverty to expose his family's character. The Denver Post ran a feature story. Local executives' unusual family test sparks national conversation. They interviewed Dr. Moore, who called my approach unorthodox but revealing. They interviewed families from the cancer center who'd witnessed Donna's public advocacy for ending my treatment. She stood up in that meeting and told everyone that keeping him alive was selfish, one woman told the reporter. Then we find out he's been paying all their bills the whole time. It's like something out of a movie. The story mentioned that I'd established the Shaney Davis Foundation to help cancer patients who actually couldn't afford treatment. Donna had volunteered to work there, 20 hours a week, unpaid. I need to understand what I almost did, she'd told the foundation director. I need to help people who really need it. 3 weeks after the revelation, I made a decision that surprised everyone. I called Emma and Tyler directly. "Grandpa," Emma said when I picked them up for lunch, "everyone at school has seen Jake's video. How do you feel about that?" "Embarrassed," she said honestly, "but also proud. Proud. Proud that my grandpa is smart enough to test people, and proud that he's rich enough to help families who really need it." Tyler, who was 8, had a simpler perspective. "Grandpa, why did Mom want you to stop taking medicine?" "Because your mom got confused about what matters most." "What matters most?" "People, not money. We went to Chuck E. Cheese, where I let them play unlimited games and eat as much pizza as they wanted. It cost me $53, less than Donna used to spend calculating my daily medication costs." "Grandpa," Emma said while Tyler dominated the basketball game, "are you still going to love us when we move to the smaller house?" "Emma, I will love you if you live in a mansion or a tent. Love isn't about money." "Then why was Mom so worried about money when you were sick?" "Because your mom thought money was more important than people. She learned differently. Is she learning to be better?" "She's trying," I said, "and that's what matters." That evening I called James with an offer that would change everything. "The kids can stay in their current school," I said. "Dad, thank you. But you and Donna pay the tuition yourselves. Consider it a loan from their grandfather." "What kind of loan?" "The kind that teaches them their education is valuable enough for their parents to sacrifice for." The payoff wasn't revenge. It was education. My family was finally learning what things actually cost. The ripple effects spread through Denver's social circles like wildfire. Within a month, James and Donna had moved from their 4-bedroom colonial in Cherry Hills Village to a 3-bedroom rental in Lakewood. The house they'd lived in for 6 years, the one I'd been secretly helping them afford, sold for $720,000. They used the equity to pay down debts and establish a realistic budget. "It's actually nice," James told me during one of our slowly healing phone conversations. "Smaller, but the kids are adjusting better than expected." The kids were doing more than adjusting. They were thriving in ways that surprised everyone. Emma and Tyler transferred to Lakewood Elementary, where they rode the bus instead of being chauffeured in a Range Rover. Emma joined the school choir and discovered she had a remarkable voice. Tyler made friends with kids whose families couldn't afford private sports leagues and learned to play soccer in the neighborhood park. "I like my new school," Emma announced during our weekly dinner. "My teacher says I'm really good at helping other kids with math." "What did your teacher at Colorado Academy say about helping others?" Emma shrugged. She never really noticed. There were too many kids and everyone already knew everything. My granddaughter was getting more individual attention in public school than she'd received in the exclusive academy I'd been funding. Donna's transformation was more dramatic. Her job at Denver Children's Hospital had forced her to see healthcare from the other side. She was now the person explaining payment plans to desperate parents, the one delivering insurance denials, the one watching families choose between medical care and financial survival. "There's this family," she told me during one of our monthly coffee meetings, a ritual she'd requested as part of her making amends process. "The father needs a liver transplant, but they can't afford the anti-rejection medications. They have twin daughters Emma's age." "What are you going to do?" "I helped them apply to 6 different assistance programs, and She paused, looking embarrassed. "I used my employee discount to help them get the medications at cost. Donna had started taking personal responsibility for other people's medical crises. How does that feel?" I asked. Like I'm finally doing something useful instead of just counting other people's problems. But the most unexpected consequence was the viral fame. Jake's video had exploded across social media platforms. It currently had 12.3 million views on TikTok, 8.7 million on Instagram, and had been featured on 3 national news programs. The story had been picked up by major media outlets from CNN to Fox News, all fascinated by the millionaire's family test. Eddie Davis becomes unlikely social media star, read the headline in USA Today. Cancer patient's elaborate test exposes family's true character. The comment section was a battlefield. This man is a genius. Families showed their true colors. Imagine trying to kill off your rich father-in-law to save money. Donna is trending for all the wrong reasons. Best plot twist since The Sixth Sense. But the fame came with unexpected opportunities. I'd received calls from 3 different streaming services wanting to turn the story into a documentary. 2 publishers had offered book deals, and somehow I'd become an unofficial spokesperson for elder care advocacy. Mr. Davis, the producer from Netflix, had said, "Your story resonates because it shows how families really behave when they think money is involved." I declined the entertainment offers, but accepted speaking engagements at medical conferences and elder care facilities. The message was always the same. Dignity isn't negotiable, regardless of bank balance. The Shaney Davis Foundation had received over $800,000 in donations from people who'd seen the story. We were now helping 37 families with legitimate medical financial crises, families facing the real poverty Donna had pretended I was experiencing. "Your story made me realize how many people actually can't afford treatment," one donor wrote. "I wanted to help the families who really need it." The irony wasn't lost on me. Donna's fake concern about my medical costs had generated real help for people who actually couldn't afford cancer treatment. But the most significant change was personal. My relationship with James was slowly rebuilding. He'd started therapy to work through his guilt and learned to set boundaries with Donna. He'd also started visiting me twice a week, not out of obligation, but because he wanted to understand the father he'd almost lost. "Dad," he said during one visit, "I keep thinking about what would have happened if you'd actually been broke. What do you think would have happened?" "I think Donna would have convinced me to put you in that nursing home," he admitted. "And I think I would have let her. Probably. How do I live with that?" "By making sure it never happens again," I said. "To me or to anyone else." Jake had become something of a celebrity in his own right. His follow-up videos explaining the story had millions of views, and he'd been invited to speak at conferences about family financial dynamics and elder abuse. "Grandpa," he told me, "I've gotten messages from thousands of people who say our story made them reevaluate how they treat their elderly relatives." "Good," I said. "That makes it worthwhile." The most touching consequence came from an unexpected source. Mrs. Peterson from my old apartment building had tracked down my new address and sent a card. "Eddie, I always knew you were special. Not because you're rich, but because you never forgot to say thank you for my casseroles. That's the mark of a good person." She was right. Character isn't about money. It's about how you treat people when you think they have nothing to offer except love. 6 months later, I moved into a house 3 blocks from James and Donna's rental. Not back to Cherry Hills Village. I donated that house to the Shaney Davis Foundation and turned it into a family support center. Instead, I bought a modest ranch in Lakewood, where my real family was learning to live. "Why here?" James asked when I showed him the $385,000 house. "Because this is where people who love me actually live," I said. The house was nothing special. Built in 1983, updated kitchen, small backyard perfect for Tyler's soccer practice, but it had something my mansion never had: authentic relationships. Emma and Tyler could walk over after school. Donna could stop by after her foundation work to talk about the families she was helping. James could come for dinner without wondering if I was testing him. "Dad," James said during one of those dinners, "do you think we'll ever be normal?" I watched Tyler help Donna with dishes while Emma practiced piano on the upright I'd bought at an estate sale for $60. "Son, we were never normal," I said. "We were a family living on borrowed money and borrowed time, avoiding honest conversations about what mattered. And now? Now we're a family that knows love isn't conditional on convenience." Donna looked up from drying dishes. "Even when love costs money?" "Especially when love costs money," I said. That evening, after everyone had gone home, I sat in my modest living room and called Dr. Moore for my latest test results. "Annual scan shows complete remission," she reported. "See you in 6 months for routine follow-up." Complete remission. I'd survived both cancer and a family crisis. I poured myself a glass of wine, not expensive wine, just good wine, and raised it to Shaney's photo on the mantel. "Test complete," I said aloud. "Results, painful but necessary." My phone buzzed with a text from Jake. "Grandpa, the foundation video hit 5 million views. People are donating like crazy. You've helped 127 families now. 127 families who actually needed help, compared to the one family who'd needed a reality check. The math finally made sense. If you're watching this, please subscribe and let me know where you are watching from. And remember, character isn't inherited. It's earned through how you treat people when they can't do anything for you except love you back. Some lessons cost $50 million to teach. But dignity? Dignity is priceless.